Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Katrina Blowers.
Good afternoon. Our top stories on 7. One of Australia's most recognisable brands to sail off into the sunset. When will the last P&O cruise ship leave port? A man jailed for murdering his wife appeals his conviction, why he thinks the DNA testing lab debacle could be his key to freedom. A pair of humpback whales wander a little off course, how they wound up in a southeast river. And we are deep inside enemy territory as the Maroons prepare for war against the Blues. A man jailed for the murder of his wife is appealing his conviction based on the bungle at Queensland's DNA testing lab. Andrew John Cobby is representing himself, questioning the evidence related to the murder weapon. Jacqueline Robson reports.
Andrew John Cobby has always maintained a mystery man killed his estranged wife in the driveway of their Gold Coast home, but a jury didn't believe him. Today he began his fight to overturn his conviction. Cobby is the first person to use the failures at the state's DNA testing lab to try and overturn a conviction. He was found guilty in 2021 of beating and strangling his estranged wife Kim in 2017. Today, Cobby, who is representing himself, cross-examined a forensic scientist at the lab over inconsistencies with DNA results. The court told the retesting of the hammer used in Kim Cobby's killing provided a more sophisticated analysis, narrowing down the original 3 DNA samples found on the murder weapon to 2, those of Cobby and his wife. There have been concerns the forensic lab failures would see a wave of appeals by convicted killers.
Well, look, that's a matter for the court and the presiding judge to determine that happens in the appropriate way.
Kim Cobby's mother and sister were in court for the appeal, along with the Cobby children. The appeals court president repeatedly interrupted Cobby, trying to bring his line of questioning back on track, often asking him about the relevance of his questions. We'll have more on this in 7 News at 6 o'clock tonight.
The cruising industry is set for a major shake-up, with Carnival Cruises announcing it's scrapping the P&O brand. The parent company says the nearly century-old brand will stop operating from early next year. 2 ships from the current fleet will be rebranded, while the Pacific Explorer will be retired from service. A man wanted in connection with a hit and run that killed 1 person and injured 2 others is this afternoon being interviewed by police. We'll go now to Garth Burley, and Garth, the 28-year-old gave himself up.
Yeah, good afternoon, Katrina. After almost a week on the run, Kai Furzy presented here to the Acacia Ridge Police Station last night. That was just hours after his name and photo was plastered across various media outlets. He was wanted in relation to a fatal hit and run in Webcke last week. Police allege he was behind the wheel of a Ford Mondeo that collided with a Toyota Camry, which was being used at the time as an Uber. One of the Uber passengers, 30-year-old Ryan Grafton, died at the scene, while another female passenger and the Uber driver were taken to hospital. Now, police allege that man, Kai Furzy, was seen here running from the scene. When they arrived, he was nowhere to be found near the crash scene and pictured here running along the street. He remained on the run for close to a week before he was presented in here at the Acacia Ridge Police Station last night, where he was arrested, but at this stage he has not been charged.
Garth Burley there, thank you. The Albanese government is expanding the eligibility criteria for the Australian Defence Force to tackle a recruitment crisis. Permanent residents from New Zealand, the UK, US and Pacific Island nations will now be able to enlist.
From 1 July, we'll be opening this up to permanent residents from New Zealand that have been here for a year, and then from 1 January, it will open up to Five Eyes countries and permanent residents from other countries.
Foreign nationals wanting to join the services must have lived here for at least 1 year and be eligible for citizenship. The Treasurer is counting down the days until next week's state budget, but he remains tight-lipped about the eye-watering cost of a landmark renewable energy project. Let's bring in our state political editor, Marlena Watt. Marlena, there's a mystery price tag for a mega hydro dam.
Yeah, Katrina, the government's still waiting on detailed studies about the controversial Pioneer Burdekin scheme, and Cameron Dick won't say whether there'll be any capital investment in the project when he hands down the budget next Tuesday. So while the government is happy to talk about spending to allow for the 50-cent public transport fares and the $1,000 electricity rebates, there are still so many unknowns about this hydro dam, with the initial estimated cost of $12 billion expected to blow out.
You won't have long to wait, and we will reveal our capital program when I deliver the budget in a week's time.
Costs for all projects have increased since that time, but we don't have a new cost estimate.
Based on the state government's current approach, the transition to renewables is so fanciful. It's so fanciful because they are pinning all their hopes, or the majority of their hopes, on one project.
Now, the Premier, Deputy Premier and the Health Minister met new recruits from the Queensland Ambulance Service at Geebung this morning, celebrating the recruitment program. But as they prepare to hit the road, the LNP is warning they will soon come face to face with the state's deepening ramping crisis. I'll have more coming up at 6 o'clock, Katrina.
Alina Wapp at Parliament. Plans to have Anastasia Palaszczuk put on Labor's Senate ticket at the next federal election have been shot down by party power brokers. There had been a grassroots campaign from some party branches calling for the former Premier to be given the winnable second spot on the ticket. Ms Palaszczuk stepped down as Premier just 7 months ago and recently accepted a job with the Smart Energy Council. Jailed gangland matriarch Judy Moran is making a bid for freedom on medical grounds. Underworld heavyweight Mick Gatto is reportedly backing her petition to the Victorian government, asking for mercy. Here's Emma O'Sullivan.
79-year-old prisoner Judy Moran is likely to die in jail, but she is considering a last-ditch bid for freedom. In Victoria, the governor can sign a petition for mercy on medical grounds even before a prisoner's non-parole period has started. In 2009, Judy Moran was sentenced to at least 21 years behind bars for arranging the murder of her brother-in-law, Des Moran, who was shot dead at a cafe in Ascot Vale. She'd be able to apply for parole at the age of 85 in 6 years' time. It's reported that Moran has reached out to Mick Gatto seeking help with putting a petition for mercy before the state government. Gatto has been quoted saying he was funding it a bit and has reached out to lawyers on Judy Moran's behalf.
In order for the Attorney-General to consider release, you would need to be sick enough where you're either close to death's door, or you would have to satisfy the department that there is no opportunity for that sort of medical assistance to be provided in jail.
Under Victorian law, a petition for mercy would first have to be lodged with the Attorney-General, Jacqueline Symes. Ultimately, the Governor would have to sign off on it. If it went ahead, it's likely it would come with conditions, or that the prisoner would have to be supervised.
The build-up to tomorrow's night's Origin opener has hit its peak. The Maroons about to set foot on Accor Stadium to finalise their plans to embarrass the Blues, let's hope, in Sydney. Mitch Crone is there.
Good afternoon. Well, the Maroons are right now getting in one final tune-up, holding their captain's run here at Accor Stadium, where tomorrow night they'll run out to a hostile Blue Sea. The session caps off what's been a smooth build-up for the Maroons. Still, that's of no comfort to the coach. It may be Billy Slater's 7th game in charge of Queensland, but he's still feeling the nerves.
I'm nervous like anyone else. It's state of origin.
Now there's just the one debutant for the Maroons, Eels tackling machine, Jermaine Hopgood. He's a story of hardship and perseverance. So we had to track down Queensland's proudest mum, who followed her boy south in the pursuit of his NRL dream.
He hasn't just been given everything, and he has worked really hard, even, you know, moving down, building and training and footy. Very proud, mum. All of us, everyone.
And we'll have more from that emotional interview coming up in the news at 6.
New South Wales Premier Chris Minns has confirmed a bet with Stephen Miles over the result of tomorrow night's first Origin match. When, not if, Queensland wins, he's agreed to wear a Maroons jersey for a whole day.
In Parliament, sure. Yep. So there you go. Big, bold offer.
Premier Miles spoke on radio this morning saying his opposite number was hesitant at first to take the bet. Now for a look at the weather, and Tony, what can we expect for Origin Game 1 tomorrow night?
Katrina, hopefully we're in for a deluge of Maroons tries, but in terms of rain, it's a closer call. Heavy falls are set to develop near Wollongong and move north into the evening tomorrow, but it should all stay clear of Sydney until after the game, albeit with a slimmer chance of a light shower around. Now back to Queensland, and there was an extra splash of colour to start the day today as the first glimpse of sunshine reflected off some higher level cloud here. Beautiful shot. A big thanks to Dave Andrews, from the Sunrise Traffic Chopper for sharing this pic, looking across Dolly's Rocks and out towards the Redcliffe Peninsula. Now it was also a chilly morning, the coldest morning of the year so far for many spots in the southeast. Ipswich dropping to just 2 degrees, with all locations actually into single figures. The Gold Coast Seaway here is actually rounded up from 9.7. Then another mild day under sunny skies with tops just scraping into the low 20s. Katrina, I'll be back soon with tomorrow's forecast.
Thank you, Tony. Still to come, an unlikely sighting on the Tweed River as passers-by spot whales in the water. Officials warn of coordinated Russian cyber attacks in the lead-up to the Olympic Games. And Stormy speaks out, urging Melania to leave Donald Trump following the hush money trial.
In 7 News, shock cruising loss, the end of P&O in Australia. We take you inside Brisbane's most expensive apartment, now on the market, the popular fruit that's surging in price, and the cheaper alternatives. And on Origin Eve, the 50 things Queensland hates about the Blues. 7 News at 6.
The new Chronic Pain Plan. 5 surprising trigger points you never knew you needed to treat. Plus, instant savings at the checkout. The new rewards points offers for Queensland supermarket shoppers. Start with Sunrise tomorrow morning.
There's been a rare and spectacular sighting in a river south of the Gold Coast. 2 curious humpbacks took a wrong turn this morning and started swimming upstream. Amelia Adam reports.
The humpbacks caught many by surprise this morning when they made their way into the Tweed River. The mammals were first spotted around 6:20 this morning, passing the Tweed sand pumping jetty. The pair moved towards the seaway and turned, making their way upstream. Eventually, one had a good look around before slowly turning around and cruising back out to sea. It's a sight many long-term locals have never seen before.
In the Tweed River, no, I haven't. So I first started driving whale tours out of here a bit over 10 years ago.
Videos soon surfaced online, prompting some to head to the river to see for themselves.
There was a video of Tweed River and there was whales in the river, which I thought was pretty crazy.
The team from Cooley Eco Adventures heard about the rare sighting too.
It's definitely something cool to see in the river. You know, we all take wrong turns from time to time.
Humpbacks have occasionally been seen in the Gold Coast Seaway. The last time was in 2022. In 7 Gold Coast News at 5:30 and the news at 6, we speak to a boatie who spotted some of the whales and show you some of his spectacular videos.
A truck driver has been killed on a notoriously dangerous Gold Coast road. The driver's rig slamming into a guardrail before rolling several times on Tamborine-Oxenford Road at Wonga Wallen this morning. The truck was carrying a load of turf and the driver unfortunately died at the scene. There are reports Russia is gearing up to launch cyber attacks and run a disinformation campaign targeting the Paris Olympics. It's understood Vladimir Putin is angry at France and the IOC over their support for Ukraine.
With Paris gearing up for this summer's Olympics, 2 reports warn of Russian disinformation targeting the Games, including fake videos aimed at spreading fear of violence and damaging the reputation of the Olympics. Produced, a Microsoft report says, by prolific Russian influence actors. This bogus documentary, posted last summer, titled Olympics Has Fallen, featured a deepfake Tom Cruise, while a second report, published tomorrow by US cyber experts Recorded Futures, seen by NBC News, says Russia is the most likely primary state actor to target the Olympics with a disruptive cyber attack. President Putin furious with France for its support of President Zelensky, and Putin angry at the IOC for banning athletes from competing under the Russian flag because of the war.
The Olympics is just a great target if you are Russia. Russia has a long-standing beef with the IOC over the expulsion of Russian athletes for cheating.
Paris has invested billions to beef up security, facing challenges, one of the reports says, not seen since London 2012, from protests to cyber attacks. Warning cyber criminals will be attracted to such high-profile events and the chance to target the public with email phishing scams and suspicious links.
Still ahead, Stormy's message to Melania in the wake of Donald Trump's conviction in the hush money trial. And in sport, Billy's final word before a final tune-up on Origin Eve.
On 7 News, from science fiction to science fact.
This technology could change the world.
Just look what they've been building.
The market for robotics is absolutely exploding at the moment.
You won't believe what they can do now.
There's huge advances in technology.
On 7 News at 6 o'clock.
Well, we've all seen the big freeze in Melbourne this morning. The Suns put on their own event featuring local sports stars and celebrities. Among those being dunked were Suns coach Damien Hardwick and Triple M's Spider Everett.
It's cold, and I thought I was pretty good with Kingy. His first kick went miles away, so it was a good choice early, but what a great cause, and it's just awesome to be here, and it's great the Suns have got on board.
Our own 7 Gold Coast News presenters Amanda Abate and Steve Titmus were dunked, raising money to help in the fight against motor neuron disease. The fundraising target was $5,000. So far, $12,000 has been raised. Former adult film star Stormy Daniels is urging Melania Trump to file for divorce. As US correspondent Miley Hogan explains, Daniels believes the former First Lady should call it quits, not because Donald Trump cheated on her, but because he's now a convicted criminal.
Wanted or not, Stormy Daniels has offered her advice to the former First Lady, urging Melania Trump to leave her husband, saying that Melania should ditch him not because of his alleged affair, but because he is a convicted felon. It's the first time Stormy Daniels has spoken out since the former president's guilty verdict, speaking exclusively to a British newspaper.
And I'm not going to sit here and assume that any of us know what their agreement may or may not have been.
Should she leave him?
Yeah.
On the grounds of?
He's a convicted felon? Sleeping around or like having an open marriage. I'm not saying they did or didn't because I don't know. None of us know. She could have a hot pool boy locked up in the garage for all we know.
Last week, Donald Trump was found guilty of covering up a hush money payment to Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election. The money to keep her quiet about an alleged affair, a sexual encounter the former president denies.
I'm obviously glad of the verdict because in a way it also proves that I was telling the truth, that I was not paid for sex. You know, it was not a prostitution job.
Melania Trump did not attend any of the 7-week trial, the former president revealing the case has been hard on her and his family. The jury's verdict marked the first ever criminal conviction of a former US president. Donald Trump has vowed to appeal.
Let's have a quick look at today's sport now. Webby, final preparations are underway for Origin.
They certainly are, Katrina. Hello, everyone. The Maroons are right now on what they're hoping will be their field of dreams tomorrow night, hosting their captain's run at Accor Stadium. The final tune-up caps off what's been an unusually smooth build-up for Billy Slater's men, but that's of little comfort to the Queensland coach.
Once you start getting comfortable, you know, complacency creeps in. I certainly don't feel comfortable or complacent.
Nor should he. The Maroons haven't won in Sydney since 2020. Unfinished business sealed the deal for Lions vice-captain Hugh McCluggage, agreeing to a further 7 years with Brisbane. Playing finals the last 5 years and falling 4 points short of a premiership last year, the midfielder's eager to return success to the club that gave him his AFL career, selecting him at pick 3 in the 2016 draft.
I feel like you owe it to the club and the people to repay that faith, and hopefully I can be that sort of mentor and person for our young boys in the future.
Captaincy's on the 26-year-old radar eventually, but for now, he's focused on the Western Bulldogs in Melbourne Friday. At age 35, Michelle Heyman will lead the line for the Matildas at the Paris Olympics in July. Heyman will fill the boots of injured captain Sam Kerr, completing her return from international retirement in 2019. Skipper Steph Catley is certain they can compete for gold.
We've been to 2 major tournaments now where we've finished 4th, and there's definitely something within us that wants something tangible to take out of, this whole experience.
Katrina Gorry was selected while still recovering from ankle surgery. Charlie Grant will travel as one of 4 reserves, along with Lydia Williams, who was given a rousing farewell before and during last night's 2-0 win over China, sealed by Hayley Rasso. Katrina, plenty more sport tonight. It's all about Origin.
Yeah, I better change into a different colour
I would hope so, yes.
Thanks, Webcke. Time to see what's coming up in 7 News at 6 and our Gold Coast Bulletin. Sharon and Steve are here. Good afternoon, guys. Sharon, one of Australia's most recognisable brands is about to sail off into the sunset.
Yes, Katrina, P&O is being absorbed by cruising giant Carnival. Tonight, what it means for the Aussie brand's loyal customers and P&O's workers. Also, a big change at this year's Ekka. Only 7 News has the details. Plus, a vaccine to ward off skin cancer, the results of clinical trials targeting melanomas. Tonight we look at how it works. And strawberries and blueberries are selling for a fortune in Queensland supermarkets. When will the price of a punnet come down? And at $10 a punnet, Katrina, hopefully the price will come down very soon.
Let's hope so. And Steve, there's been a shocking truck crash in the hinterland.
Yeah, sadly, Katrina, and it's claimed a life as well. It flipped on a notoriously dangerous stretch of the Tamborine-Oxenford Road. Also, plans have been unveiled for a new high-rise on the coast designed to house the homeless. Tonight, where it would go and the council's reaction. And great news, the Gold Coasters who pull on the green and gold for the Matildas at the Paris Olympics. Katrina, a trio of local stars that have made the squad. Congratulations to them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve, and thank you to Sharon. Our Gold Coast viewers are off to the chase now. Then join Amanda and Steve for your local news at 5:30 and, of course, Sharon and Max at 6 o'clock. For the rest of Queensland, the concerning $1 billion rort of the NDIS, how taxpayer money is being spent on drugs and holidays. One of the world's most active volcanoes finds an old fault to spew lava. And later, after the weather, the Matildas Olympic side selected after that stunning win against China.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Katrina Blowers.
Good afternoon. Here's a quick look at our top stories today. Convicted wife killer Andrew Cobby has cross-examined forensic experts as he appeals his conviction. Cobby became the first person to use failures at the state DNA testing lab to challenge his guilty verdict. A man at the centre of a manhunt following a fatal hit-and-run crash in Webcke last week has handed himself into police. Investigations are ongoing and charges are yet to be laid. And the ADF's recruitment requirements have been overhauled to allow permanent residents from Canada, New Zealand and Pacific nations to serve. Foreign nationals wanting to enlist must have lived in Australia for at least a year and be eligible for citizenship. The cruise industry is about to experience a major shake-up, with Carnival announcing the end of the P&O brand. The news has devastated avid cruisers who are now wondering what will change aboard their favourite vessels. Steve Hart has more.
Yes, for many cruise goers today, this is very sad news. The P&O brand will be no more into the new year. And for many, the P&O brand is synonymous with great value and a typical Aussie style of cruising.
Oh, no. I absolutely didn't know that. I'm so upset. Sorry? P&O is going out. Oh.
The service they provide, the price, the range of places you go to, it's been great. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what's going to happen now.
P&O's parent company, Carnival Cruise Lines, the boss of Carnival flew into Australia from America this morning to break the news to staff first of all. What does it mean for them? Well, even they don't know yet. What we do know is that 2 of P&O's cruise ships will continue under the Carnival brand, but the one behind me here, the Pacific Explorer, will be retired. The Carnival boss says that the way that costs are at the moment is just too great to continue the way they have been, and so it'll be a slimmed down operation, but still they are promising nonetheless there will be great experiences to be had for all cruise goers. Is business as usual, they've told their P&O staff, for at least the next 6 months or so. And for those cruise goers here in Brisbane who are about to board the Explorer, well, they're going to make the most of what could be their very last time on this ship.
The National Disability Insurance Scheme is being rorted, with some participants claiming for drugs, alcohol, holidays and cars. As Josh Martin reports, millions of dollars are being misused.
Good afternoon. It's around 5% of the scheme's $40 billion budget. These sensational revelations were made in Senate estimates. The head of fraud at the National Disability Insurance Scheme telling politicians they're catching participants and providers claiming for ice, heroin, cocaine, as well as $20,000 holidays and $70,000 cars. An admission that organised crime has infiltrated the NDIS.
There are some providers that are really just fraudsters and criminals and criminal syndicates, and there are participants where they may be claiming things that they shouldn't. Just in the last week, a $20,000 holiday, a $10,000 holiday. We had a participant that bought a car, brand new, $73,000.
What types of illicit substances are being trafficked or sold?
You name it, it's on the list.
So heroin, cocaine, speed, ice, everything.
And these are providers that are there to do harm.
Those stunning revelations followed up by the opposition in Question Time seizing on this saga, asking NDIS Minister Bill Shorten what he's doing to stop the fraud taking place. He says the agency is cracking down. Currently there are 500 compliance matters being looked into, 222 active investigations, 20 prosecutions and 12 matters sitting with the DPP.
Why is the Minister allowed illegal drugs to be trafficked to Australia's most vulnerable and paid for by taxpayers under the scheme that you designed?
Anyone claiming items which are not allowed under the scheme, it is illegal. We're doing something about fixing up the scheme. You did nothing.
666,000 Australians use the NDIS, most of them for genuine disability needs, but these 5% doing the wrong thing need to be weeded out and weeded out quickly.
There's been more legal history made in the US as the son of President Joe Biden goes on trial. Hunter Biden is facing 3 gun-related charges.
Hunter Biden entering federal court in Wilmington, Delaware today, the first child of a sitting president to face criminal prosecution. The jury now seated in his trial on multiple gun charges. First Lady Jill Biden, Hunter's stepmother, attended court Monday in the latest show of support from his family.
I love Hunter and I'll support him in any way I can.
Even in the middle of a close presidential race, President Biden has been unwavering in his support for his only living son.
I'm very proud of my son.
The two seen at a state dinner last month, at church together last week, and riding bicycles in Rehoboth Beach over the weekend. In a statement today, he said, "I am the president, but I am also a dad. Jill and I love our son, and we are so proud of the man he is today." Hunter has been charged in part with lying on this ATF form when he purchased a firearm. Prosecutors allege he failed to reveal he was a drug addict and using at the time. Hunter has entered a plea of not guilty, although he has been open about his struggles with addiction.
I went one time for 13 days without sleeping and smoking crack and drinking vodka exclusively throughout that entire time.
Potential jurors were asked questions about people they knew dealing with substance abuse. Some were excused after saying they couldn't be impartial over their political views. Hunter was expected to resolve his gun charges as part of a plea deal, but that fell apart last year.
Hunter owned an unloaded gun for 11 days. There will never have been a charge like this brought in the United States.
His second criminal trial on tax charges is scheduled to begin in September in Los Angeles.
The seatbelt sign is likely to stay on for longer on international flights as airlines scramble to ramp up safety following the Singapore Airlines mid-air emergency. One man died and more than 100 passengers and crew were injured when the plane hit severe turbulence. Emirates says turbulence is becoming more common. Vote counting is underway in India after a 6-week-long poll that saw more than 642 million ballots cast. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on track for a historic third consecutive term in power with his Hindu Nationalist Party. An official result is expected later tonight, our time. A section of the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii that fell silent 50 years ago has reawoken. Lava began spewing from a kilometre-long fissure yesterday. It's in a remote section of the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, and the US Geological Survey says it doesn't pose any threat to life or property. Kilauea is one of the world's most active volcanoes. Just ahead, back from the dead, how funeral home workers discovered a woman on their slab was still alive, and why a school's use of a song for its morning bell has stirred controversy.
On 7 News, from science fiction to science fact.
This technology could change the world.
Just look what they've been building.
The market for robotics is absolutely exploding at the moment.
You won't believe what they can do now.
And there's huge advances in technology.
On 7 News at 6 o'clock.
Victorian detectives are in the process of retrieving metadata from the mobile phone belonging to murdered mother Samantha Murphy. 7 News revealed the device was in near perfect condition when it was found by a Ballarat dam last week. It's hoped the data will reveal her final movements and lead police to her body. Her accused killer, Patrick Stevenson, is still not cooperating with investigators. Yogis, dog trainers and martial art teachers are in higher demand than tradies, according to a draft priority list of skilled migrants drafted by an independent government body. Painters, tilers, bricklayers and stonemasons weren't categorised as workers considered in urgent need, despite Labor's plans to build 1.2 million new homes in 5 years.
We are incredibly perplexed as to why most of the trades that we need to build 1.2 million homes are not on the definite list for skilled migration. It does not make any sense.
Housing advocates say 500,000 extra workers are needed in the sector if the government is to meet its goal. They're called modular or kit homes, cyclone-proof, built to last 200 years and able to be knocked together in just 4 weeks. And as Michael Hammond explains, they're on the comeback as Queenslanders look for affordable housing options.
Good afternoon. Well, is this one of the solutions to the state's housing crisis? Well, the government sure hopes so, planning to roll out 600 of these modular homes across Queensland. And for more on this concept, I want to bring in Alex Miss Campbell from Sigma Build. Alex, tell us a little bit about this design and the plans ahead.
Well, basically, Michael, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom government employee house. This will be bound for Camberwell, which is on the border of Queensland and Northern Territory, servicing nurses' accommodation. With our factory's capacity, we look to be producing about 100 homes of this type a year, and we can service anywhere in the country.
And we know that there are a lot of people doing it tough out there at the moment, not able to put a roof over their head. What will this do to help that crisis?
Well, basically, Michael, there's a massive shortage of housing in Australia. If we want to reach our target of 1.2 million homes built by 2030, construction like this needs to increase. We need to get houses built fast and sent out to remote communities to allow people to migrate out there. Not everybody can live in the western suburbs of Brisbane. We need to develop regional Queensland, and this is the way we're going to contribute.
Well, thank you very much for your time. And in 7 News tonight at 6, we'll take you inside some of these homes and speak to the designers and builders behind this concept.
Staff at a funeral parlour in the US have had a rude shock after finding a woman they were preparing for burial was still alive. The 74-year-old had been pronounced dead at her nursing home, but as the undertakers began work, one noticed she was breathing. Police are investigating.
At this point, we have not been able to find any criminal intent by the nursing home, but the investigation is ongoing.
The woman had been in hospice care. The New South Wales Education Department has been forced to apologise after a Sydney school used a violent rap track as its school bell. The Indigenous protest song describes Captain Cook as a murderer and references white devils. Chris Mai reports.
Well, there's been a quick response by education officials today after it was revealed a violent rap song was being used as the school bell morning song here at Ramsgate Public School. Now, the rap song, with an Indigenous title meaning Fighting Boomerang by rapper Birds, includes violent lyrics, makes references to white devils and labels Captain Cook a murderer without a licence.
Any white devil wanna test my will, then he finna get burnt by the fire I feel.
At the Ramsgate Public School, not far from the shores of Botany Bay, the song has been played recently as children have been arriving for school. It came to attention this morning after a parent of one child raised concerns with the media.
We just had a traditional bell. I don't know what you guys did, so maybe we go back to bells.
The Education Minister, Prue Carr, promised to intervene. The Education Department has since apologised and says it's counselled the school's leadership, which it says used the song to mark Reconciliation Week.
Schools are not places for things like that. Anything that creates any sort of division we can't have in our schools.
The song has been removed from the school playlist. Now, the incident has prompted the Education Department to remind principals across the state about their professional duties when it comes to using school resources, including school bell songs.
To finance now, and mining and energy stocks were a drag today. Here's Laura Bezerati from CommSec.
It was a bit of an uninspiring session today, with the Aussie market ending lower by 24 points, or about 1/3 and ending around the worst levels of the day. Today, lower commodity prices were the main theme, which saw energy producers under some pressure after oil prices slumped by 3.5% overnight on demand concerns after some of the largest oil-producing nations extended their supply cuts. Miners also had a rough session after iron ore fell sharply overnight, so we did see some of the larger players like BHP and Fortescue adding weight, but the good news is gains across some of the other sectors of our market helped to offset bigger declines. The major banks helped, and so did some of the healthcare stocks, including CSL and Ramsay Healthcare. Finally, the Aussie dollar currently buys 66.6 US cents.
Coming up, the Matildas selected for the Olympics, so which stars are heading to Paris? And it was the coolest morning of the year so far for much of the southeast. At the moment, it's 19 degrees in Brisbane. Tony has the forecast next.
In 7 News, shock cruising loss, the end of P&O in Australia. We take you inside Brisbane's most expensive apartment, now on the market, the popular fruit that's surging in price, and the cheaper alternatives. And on Origin Eve, the 50 things Queensland hates about the Blues. 7 News at 6.
Good afternoon, Queensland. You're watching 7 News. Checking the weather now, and don't feel guilty if you push that snooze button on the alarm a few times this morning. It was the coldest morning of the year so far for much of southern Queensland. Only a couple of spots dipped into negative territory, but a lot of places were well down into single figures. And that's all thanks to clear skies, dry air and light winds, allowing any lingering heat from yesterday to escape quickly at night in the east. But it's been a different story in the far west of the state today, with high cloud thickening, but not too much in the way of rain. Tomorrow, that high cloud slowly moves across to eastern Queensland and could trigger a light shower later in the day. Otherwise, the New South Wales coast is the main focus for some heavier falls through the day. But for the most part, it should stay away from Sydney. Most likely dry for Origin tomorrow night, save for the slim chance of a shower. This is different to the Bureau's official forecast, which still mentions that rain. Now, Canberra is more likely to see some late rain, while Melbourne and Hobart are looking at dry tops of 15. Back to northern Queensland, plenty of blue sky amongst some brief cloudy patches for the major east coast centres here, 19 to 29 degrees in Cairns and Townsville. Heading south, mostly cloudy, and that cloud should decrease the chance of frost early tomorrow morning. Then a few fleeting showers moving through, most likely around Toowoomba and Stanthorpe later into the evening, tops of 17 there. In the southeast, another brisk morning before cloud starts to return through the course of the day. You can't rule out 1 or 2 drops later at night, but not much in it. Logan, 6 up to 21 degrees, while both coasts should reach 22. How long will the cold nights last, Katrina? I'll have the full forecast coming up at 6.
Oh, getting out that hot water bottle tonight. Thank you, Tony. The Matildas have named their squad for the Paris Olympics, and there are plenty of familiar faces, but one 19-year veteran of the side has missed out, as Chris Reason reports.
Good afternoon. Well, for some jubilation, others heartache, but this is a team with extraordinary depth. 8 of the 18 players in the squad have been to 3 Olympics previously. That is an Olympic milestone. We're going to be captained by Steph Catley, vice-captains Emily Van Egmond, Ellie Carpenter, no Sam Kerr, of course, but a list of familiar faces, including Mackenzie Arnold, Caitlin Ford, Alana Kennedy, Claire Polkinghorne, Tamika Yallop, Kyra Cooney-Cross, Mary Fowler, Hayley Rasso, also Katrina Gorry, going along, a gamble with an ankle injury. She hasn't played since the World Cup last year. Let's quickly listen to both the coach and the captain.
It's been an emotional week, of course, but right now, today, I feel very excited.
A very familiar team, but yeah, I think the way we've been playing over the last year or so, we're in a really good place.
There were important omissions though. Charlotte Grant and Lydia Williams both dropped officially from the squad. They will still be going to Paris as part of a small subset of 4 players on standby in case of emergency. But that means that for Lydia, last night was most likely her final game for the Matildas after a 19-year career with the national team. It was an emotional farewell and send-off for her here at Sydney Olympic Park, and a 2-0 victory against China, the perfect springboard for the girls to go off to Paris, but their work is cut out for them. They're ranked 9 of the 12 teams going to the Olympics, but they say they have a medal in their sights.
And that is Queensland's 4 p.m. news for this Tuesday. Stay with us now for The Chase and then 7 News at 6. I'm Katrina Blowers. I will catch you tomorrow.